There are a lot of technologies in diagnosis, wound diagnosis, and any kind of diagnosis, and imaging is used pretty broadly. One of the ones that's used in your field is laser Doppler imaging. So, Jihang, maybe it'd be good to start with you. Just, what do you think about laser Doppler imaging, and how does that kind of fit into the space, and then also, how does multispectral imaging maybe supersede that?
Yeah, so LDA image actually provides a way to evaluate the depth of the burn. But I wanted to point out that the factors to determine whether the burn will be healed or not healed is many. Not only the depth of the burn, but it could be some underlying features such as hemoglobin, oxygen saturation, or collagen degeneration. So our multispectral imaging technology outperforms with LDA by using an invasive way to capture those information using the multispectral imaging technology. And another thing I wanted to point out is LDI image usually takes around like several minutes. Makes it challenging to deal with the large wound. Imagine you have a large wound. You have to take multiple images, which is time consuming.
Sure.
And also I know that the best capturing time for LDA is usually from 48 hours to 72 hours. But our technology provides the day one healing or not healing assessment.
Okay. Is there any time period at all that you need to wait after? I mean, like immediately after the burn, can you image it then, or does there need to be some wait before you do that?
I don't think you need to wait, but usually people taking the image within a day. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As Pete, you were saying in an earlier segment, it's for general practitioners, it's a little bit difficult to determine whether a wound is going to heal. Why is it so difficult to really assess why a wound is difficult to heal?
Well, as we just heard, there are multiple aspects of the healing properties of a burn. And what I think the other part of this is many burns will actually heal by themselves. And so there is just a human bias that you see a wound, you see a burn, you want to treat it. You want to do something.
Okay.
You don't want to step back and just
Sure.
let nature take its course. But it's those type of things that Jihang mentioned where there are so many factors in what we'll do, in what can lead to the healing nature of a burn. There's also some, in general aspects of patient demographics, their health, their age. It's less significant a differentiation for a burn than it is for some other wounds. So we don't necessarily need all of that patient information that you would get where you're looking for comorbidities in a more technical wound from a burn standpoint. But it could heal by itself. The other thing to remember is for a burn of any size, the vast majority are handled through an autologous skin graft. So you're creating a wound somewhere else on the patient to pull skin, to graft skin to use on the burn. And that, you don't want to have to do that if you don't need to.
Yeah.
And so again, the better accuracy is good for everybody in the system.
Okay. One of the things interesting about your company is that you're using AI, and as Jihang and I were talking about earlier, for the last couple of years, it seems like AI has been everywhere. It's just dominated the conversation. But it has been used for quite a while in the medical space, for finding new drugs, and then also for what you're doing with analyzing imaging data. So, why is AI a good solution for diagnostics?
Well, we're using the machine learning concept of artificial intelligence, and so it's just we're building more and more information with every image the team collects. There's more information that the algorithm can run against, and so more and more information only leads to better and better accuracy. And that's really where we're building and what we think is unique about our situation is the power of that multispectral image capture combined with the depth of the database and the sophistication of the algorithm to make that assessment. And so that's really, it's somewhat of a closed environment. It's not GPT-like artificial intelligence, but the algorithm and the artificial intelligence part of that is the quickness too, that so much can be processed so quickly.
You know, another point that I think is important to understand is that, you know, from a regulatory perspective, AI is pretty new, right? And I'm not sure the FDA and maybe other regulatory agencies really know how to deal with it yet. And maybe they, you know, maybe they do a little bit. What's your take on that? And then, you know, kind of along with that, AI is always evolving, right? There's always new information coming in. Is that a new product? Is that a new, is that a new device when, you know, you layer on, 10,000 more patient data? What do you think about that? Yeah.
So remember, part of it is to think about what the FDA is mandated to do, and they're looking at safety and effectiveness of the device. Our device is non-invasive. The image is captured 40 centimeters away from the body, so the safety there essentially is no safety issue, and so. Well, the other aspect of what we're doing is we've been designated as a breakthrough technology, which has allowed us to have more frequent and I say more informal interactions with the FDA prior to our submission early next year. And that's allowed us to have the back and forth with them to talk about what we're looking for in the trial. And so and as they are developing what they are looking for artificial intelligence, it's allowed them to bring their latest information into those discussions we have. So, we're talking in a back and forth about what is the metric we're going to use to demonstrate or to measure the effectiveness of the device, and how are we going to compare that to the clinician assessment. And those are the types of things that are coming up within the artificial intelligence is what statistical analysis are you going to use to assess the effectiveness of the tool?
Okay. You know, one of the big themes in new products in the medical space is that, for them to be accepted broadly, they have to save money, or they have to make things quicker, or they have to address an unmet need. How does DeepView do this?
Well, several ways. And what I like to say, and as you know, I've been here less than a year, and part of the reason I joined the company was just an awareness of how this device can help the overall healthcare system be more effective and more efficient. Simply said, giving a practitioner a tool that is essentially instantaneous and gives them that added diagnostic tool to make a decision allows everything to happen sooner from an efficiency standpoint, and make sure that they're not treating somebody that doesn't need to be treated, or are not sending somebody home that does need to be treated.
Right.
And both of those are expensive. Part of it is if you're in an emergency department and you think the patient needs to go to the burn center, there's transportation costs.
Sure.
Once in a burn center, sometimes physicians will wait currently a day, 2, or even 3 days, either before using the laser Doppler technology or just to their own assessment. And that's tying up a precious bed. And so with our device, they can make that decision quicker. And so again, you get more effective decision making that allows the system to be more efficient, getting the patient not incurring transportation costs, getting treatment started sooner so the stay in the burn center can be shorter. We looked previously and did a small analysis identifying that the average stay in a burn center is 8 days. And we felt like our device could reduce that 8-day stay use of our device by as much as 3 days.
Okay.
From just that sooner decision making and the accuracy of the decision making. So clearing people out that don't need to be there.
So that could save almost 40% of the costs then, I guess.
Exactly. And the other thing
which are
is
probably significant, aren't
it
they?
is. And the other cost that's heavy for healthcare institutions is readmissions. So if they have sent somebody
Right.
home,
You send them home and they
that-
really need treatment.
you don't get the reimbursement is much less for that. So it's a big impact on their profitability.
So they're
and so
incentivized
that's
as
yes,
well to make the right decision the first
exactly.
time. Yeah.
And then payers we think payers will like it because it's objective. It's objective and it's consistent.
Jihang and I were talking earlier about some of the future goals in spectral imaging, and actually I wanted to ask you, Jihang, what do you see for the future of DeepView? What are the next steps after we kind of achieve everything that we're looking at now? Because it seems like there's a pretty broad area that it can address.
Yes, John, I believe the future of the DeepView will be more powerful, useful, and reliable. So we're currently integrating DeepView with the EHR system in the hospital to enhance its capability by combining spectral imaging with the clinical records, such as the vascular testing results. We do this because we hope DeepView is able to provide a more comprehensive and personalized wound healing assessment. We're also developing the ability to address the large wound by capturing and stitching images to create one seamless composite image. Our AI and computer vision algorithm will then analyze the composite data to assess the burn severity, not only providing the healing and non-healing assessment pixel-wise, but also providing the total body surface area, TBSA measurement, which is a key factor in the burn center or emergency department to triage patients. I also hope DeepView is able to utilize the concept of online learning to keep adapting the new data. This will allow us the algorithm and model to updating in real time and make sure it's remaining significant and clinical significance and also accurate when the new burn type or new burn treatment emerges. By using the online learning, I envision DeepView will continuously improve its prediction and also the reliability.
Okay, sounds promising. I thought we'd end on a kind of a financial markets note. As we probably all realize, the Fed reduced interest rates by 50 basis points recently, and that's usually a good sign for equity markets. And I think we've all realized that it's been difficult for small cap life sciences companies recently, especially with raising capital. So Pete, I thought I'd ask you just what do you think about that change in interest rates, and do you think it'll help companies in the XBI and companies like Spectral AI maybe do a little bit better in the near future?
Well, certainly anything that helps lessen the cost of capital is always good. And these businesses that you're talking about, including Spectral, we need access to capital to continue to do some of the development beyond the burn indication in the U.S. The U.S. government partner we have, that's their focus, is burn in the U.S. As we've talked about, we think there's an opportunity in other wounds and there's opportunities in other countries. That's where our access to capital is important. But for Spectral overall, what we need to do is continue to meet our milestones and do the work that we're doing. We're completing this pivotal study. We are doing the analysis and final development work of the device. So getting it submitted to the FDA is what's critical for us.
Okay.
And that is not necessarily dependent on interest rates, but certainly
well, when you hit
macro,
your milestones,
macro
investors reward the stock with purchases. So.
Exactly, and a better macro environment's always good for every equity. There's no question about that.
Definitely. Okay, well, great. Well, again, we had the CEO of Spectral AI with us, Pete Carlson. We also had the Director of Data Science, Jihang Wang, with us to share some of the technical details and thoughts about the device, the spectral imaging device. Thank you for joining us. And again, Spectral AI, ticker symbol MDAI.